Why don't you swing on by and check it out, huh? Hello? Anyone there? Click. Hey, boss? Take it easy on those pills. You shouldn't take too many of them. Gotta get a grip. So that's Hotline Miami 2. Now, in case you didn't pick up on it, what we just played through was Death Wish. We just killed Mark, Corey, Tony, and the twins. Well, we didn't kill Tony. So, the man we saw on the ground in the cutscene right after Death Wish was the son. I think that the son was looking for self-actualization through violence. He wanted to live up to the example set by his father, and he did so by killing and killing and killing. But like his father said, he's missing the point entirely. And he didn't get it until it was too late. He got everything he wanted, but he lost his best friend. And so he killed himself in a drug-fueled rampage. I'd like to welcome our next guest on the show. Famous from critically acclaimed movies such as Blue Ocean, The Calm, and Land of Tree. We are interrupting the program for an emergency broadcast. The President of the United States has been assassinated. A press conference in Washington was interrupted by a league of armed men. During what appears to be a coup d'etat, the president was shot and killed. The Russian president was also shot dead in the chaos that ensued. The ringleader of the uprising appears to be a U.S. Army general. At this time, no official statements have been made. Experts believe this will be seen as an act of war against Russia. They fear the repercussions may be severe. Stay tuned as we will be reporting live for... Looks like you've gotten yourself quite comfortable over here. You know what they say about good times, don't you? Yeah. Good times never last. That's right. Soon this will all be over. I had a feeling things would catch up with me. Are they onto me? Oh no, this is much worse. How long do I have? You? You don't have much time. No one does. There's nothing I can do about it, right? No. By now, there's nothing anyone can do about it. Okay. No need to fight it then. I'm glad you understand. Leaving this world is not as scary as it sounds. So, Hawaii and Miami are gone.
All through the soil, and up in those trees.
We don't exactly know what other places got hit. But if Richard's words are to be believed, then really nobody was spared from this.
You are electricity and your light.
Even the people who really had nothing to do with any of it.
You are sound itself, and you are flight.
So, this ending is controversial. Because it kind of seems to come out of nowhere. And it has very little to do with what the player has actually been doing. A character who we never play as does something we never see and only hear about, and that ends up destroying the world. A lot of people hate this ending, but I think it kind of pulls everything together. And I'll share why in a little bit. I don't remember if I click here or not. Oh, it didn't. Okay. So, when you beat the game for the first time, it's a shame that you're not going to see it because it's really funny. When you beat the game for the first time, it like, there's sort of a, actually, I don't know if, because there's more to this game. You haven't seen everything. But, so, like I said, the ending is controversial. And now that you've seen how the game ends, I'm sure that you're looking at the palm trees blowing in the wind and you're realizing that what you're seeing isn't a tropical storm. And on the continue screen, I know this looks like a sunset, but the light on the left is not coming from the sun. So, while it seems like the ending comes out of nowhere at first, the signs were all around. From the minute you opened the game, it was showing you what was going to happen. The game was telling you there's going to be a big twist at the end and nobody's going to like it. The game was telling you you're headed for a dead end. That you don't have much time. That nobody has much time. And that something awful is about to happen. And then it does. Just out of the control of anyone that you play as. It's tragic, it's awful, it's depressing, and it feels kind of honest. Because, yeah. Like, so I think this game is a commentary on Hotline Miami 1. And what the ending is about to me is just the destructive potential of violence. And the fact that violence, it destroys everything. It hurts everyone. And it's like, it's not only going to happen to the people who somehow bring it on themselves. It's this horrible, destructive thing. To some extent, so you know how I said that the henchman in the first game was, or the henchman in the first half of this game was sort of putting a face to the enemies that you slaughter, and just showing how, like, they, I don't know, you're cutting short a billion stories when you go through every level. I think that's part of what the ending here means, because everyone's stories just get cut off by this thing that's completely out of their control. Like, the nuclear strike is the result of basically a Hotline Miami protagonist that you never play as. And it's showing how the violent actions of another have this dramatic and apocalyptic impact on a story that they actually weren't even a main player in. And that's kind of how it is with the fans and the Sun. It's just, this game is a bunch of people who get wrapped up in violence, and their stories all clash in ways that don't gel, and they don't always intersect right, but it's a bunch of people in their own stories that are just violently and randomly coming into contact with each other. And they all just have to do with this violent world that is just about to end. And I'll share more about this after I show you a certain scene. You all came back, huh? Why? You all know how this ends, don't you? What the hell are you blabbing about? Who are you people? Why am I here? You're not really here, are you? Is this another dream? It's all a dream, isn't it? Enjoy it while you can. Soon you will all have to wake up. I think I've heard enough. Hey guys, let's get out of here. There's only one way out of this, unfortunately. Why have you taken us here? To tell you that it's all pointless. You're all heading the wrong way. At best, you'll end up in the cemetery. So what? I'm not scared of dying. You don't care what happens to your friends either, do you? Keep on following in your father's footsteps. I've told you where they lead. Look, I'm sorry for... I appreciate it, but I'm not really who you think I am. Remorse is not going to get you anywhere, I'm afraid. You think you know everything, huh? I don't get. Why is it you do the things you do? You're just gonna sit there and judge us, aren't you? Is that what you think? You don't know who I am, do you? Fine, have it your way. Well, just who are you, then? I'm the opposite of why you're writing your book. I'm something you will never understand. Looks like it's just you and me left now. We've met before, haven't we? Yes, we have. I'm glad you remember. I know you didn't ask for any of this. I wish we could have met again under different circumstances. Me too. I'm not going to play Midnight Animal again, don't worry. But this game... So that scene only shows up once you've beaten the game. And that scene explains why a lot of the weird shit is happening in the game. So, the way I see it is... Richard, this entity that is never explicitly explained, but I have my theories as to who he is and what he represents, is taking these people and essentially forcing them to relive their lives, leading up to all of their deaths. And I don't know why. It might be because he's trying to have them learn their lesson, or just because he wants to see what they'll do, or I don't know why Richard does the things he does. But that's why he keeps appearing at seemingly random points. That's why Richard knows the future. That's why there were all those bleached skeletons in the dreams. That's why he talks to the son about how he's not really there, because the father is dead and the son is also dead. He's just reliving the events leading up to his death. So everybody sort of exists out of time in this game. And I think that what Richard represents, this is just my reading this time, I've only played this game like 3 times now. I think like what Richard is to me is the embodiment of the human potential for violence. Because he's like the embodiment of the meaninglessness of violence, maybe, or not the meaninglessness, but the pointlessness. We've talked about in the Hotline 1 video how violence is not meaningless. There is meaning behind violence, but I think this game is about how violence is ultimately pointless. How it's not going to get you what you want. Because while Martin Brown wanted to be able to live out the fantasy of killing people without actually doing so, that fantasy bled into reality and he ended up dying. While Manny Pardo wanted to be famous as a result of violence, he ended up fearing getting caught. And he ultimately never got famous because everybody got nuked to shit. The fans wanted a thrill, and they ultimately got it, but it all killed them. Evan Wright wanted to find meaning or a point to the violence back in 1989, but like Richard said, he's the opposite of why he's writing his book. Richard is ultimately pointless violence. And while there was meaning behind the violence that was perpetuated in 1989, ultimately it just ended up bringing the world closer to its eventual destruction. Richter seeks absolution from Richard, but Richard can't provide that. Because Richter, I think that Richard ultimately doesn't respect Richter because Richter denies his violent nature. He's remorseful for his actions. But I don't know. I feel like Richter's a bit hard for me to place. And this doesn't line up with everybody, but I don't know. Jake is just the dumbest motherfucker ever, who's just doing all this shit because he's told to and because he loves America and fucking hates the Russians. So his, I don't know. He tries to save America through violence, but it ends up destroying America and the world, probably. The son tries to gain self-actualization through his father's footsteps, but like I said, he ends up losing his best friend and ultimately like killing all of his men and then dying alone. And then I don't know why, or I have my theories as to why Richard seems to respect Beard. And I think it's because Beard accepted his own violent nature. He accepted it, and then he willingly walked away. Because he accepted that he was a violent man, but he didn't seek meaning through the violence. He was just a soldier. And ultimately, he wasn't able to escape, but he didn't bring about his own downfall. He was just a casualty. And that's the reading of it that I have right now. And I'm going to cut right here, and when I get back, I will talk about how I feel this game relates to my anxiety and why it speaks to me so much. So, I have a generalized anxiety disorder, and as a result of that, I feel like I have already seen how my life ends. And it's like whatever I'm scared of at the time feels inevitable. It feels like there is no possible other way that things could go. And this changes based on whatever I'm scared of. Like, excuse me. The way that I was certain my life would end 2 years ago is not the way I'm certain my life will end now. It changes depending on whatever my anxiety is focused on at the time. And I played this game in 2018, and in 2018, I was absolutely certain that we were going to get into a nuclear conflict with North Korea. And as, like, whenever I was sitting at home, whenever I was at school, whenever I was on the bus, I could just, in my mind's eye, I could just see the white flash off in the distance. And I could just feel the fear and the hopelessness and the knowledge that everything was going to be over as I sat there and waited for the blast to catch up. It felt like I had seen this happen already, and I was just waiting for it. That's what the line from Lake Mungo is about to me. It's about seeing something bad happening to yourself and just waiting for it to catch up. Because of my anxiety, I do feel like something bad has happened to me, and I'm just waiting for it. Like, that it's an inevitability. And at the time that I played this game, that inevitability was nuclear war. So, to see a game have these characters, like, get all of these cryptic warnings and, like, all of these signs that the world was about to end in nuclear fire, and then to see that happen felt simultaneously horrifying and vindicating. Because the whole idea of watching your life over again and just seeing all these little signs that pointed towards the future that you're sure was going to happen it felt like how I felt. And it was something that it's something that I had seen in, like, I don't know, movies like Donnie Darko. But I hadn't seen it done in a way that felt so true to my own experience. And I mean, it's not entirely true to my experience. The world hasn't ended in nuclear war yet. I'm still alive in 2021 in the middle of a pandemic. Like, I never would have thought I'd make it this far back then. Just because I thought that, like, something would have killed me. And yeah, that's part of the reason that this song speaks so much to me, is because at the time it was this apocalyptic elegy that, like, I don't know, made me think, you know, this could all be coming to an end, and that's really sad. But now when I'm transported back to that, like, frame of mind, I think, wow, I made it way farther than I thought I was going to. And all of those fears just seem so quaint now. And that, I guess that gives me hope that, like, whatever I'm worried about now, it's going to be a distant memory that I'm going to look back and kind of laugh on. So, yeah. I don't think Hotline Miami 2 is a game about anxiety. I don't think that's what that's what the developers intended. I don't think that's a reading that many other people would have about this game, but that is what it feels like to me, because anxiety is the lens through which I view the world. And as a result, this game means the world to me. Even with all of its flaws, even though I would say that it's a worse sequel than Hotline Miami 1, I can't get it out of my head, because this is a game that almost feels like it gets it, even if I don't think that was the intent. And that's kind of, that's why I think it's so interesting how we can see ourselves in art. I think that's a really interesting thing that we tend to do. And there's other games that I connect with on a level like this, but I don't know. This one, I played it at just the right time. And I feel like I appreciate it for what it did. I genuinely do think this game gets too much flack, just objectively. I still think it's a very good game, even with all of its annoyances. Like, real talk, the first playthrough of this game is really rough, but after you've played it a couple of times, once you start to get the levels down, it is actually quite fun to run through. I was out of practice, so I did worse on a lot of the levels than I ordinarily would. But yeah, if you liked Hotline 1 and you're looking for a challenge, I would recommend this game. I don't think it's as good, and I don't think you will have the same experience with it that I did, because that's a very personal experience that is very tied to my own experiences as a human being. But yeah, I recommend it. I think it's a good game. I'm very excited to see what Dennaton does next. So, like, honestly, sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, thank you, Dennaton, for this game. It really, like, I don't think you know how special this game is to me. It's genuinely, like, it's one of my favorite games. It's one of those games that just burrowed into my head and has stayed there. And I think it will stay there forever. Oh, the funny bonus scene. That's right. The first time you beat the game, there's a thing that's like a tape, I don't know, skipping or something, And then it goes to the title screen of Hotline Miami 3, which is like in a post-apocalyptic city. But then it ends, which implies that Hotline Miami 2 was taped over Hotline Miami 3. A lot of people misinterpreted that as a teaser, but Dennaton said that the Hotline Miami series was done. And I think, honestly, I don't know where you'd take it from here. Hotline Miami 2 is such a weird sequel that, like, just a direct continuation, like, with similar things would be weird. It'd be a weird route to go after this one. And I mean, the world ended. So, I don't know. Apparently they're working on, like, some kind of Metroidvania thing right now, so I'm very excited to see that. So, anyway, thank you, Dennaton, for making this. Thank you, everyone, for watching. This has been a very rewarding experience for me. I hope that it has been a rewarding experience for you. I don't know what it is I'm going to play next. Probably something more chill. But, thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all around. Bye-bye.